Okay. So, good morning, everyone. How was the weekend? Did you take a rest? I hope so. Welcome to the new week of Cypress. For this week, we are going to finish the contents from the last week. At the end of the class, we are going to check, because for the people that didn't was here on Friday, I know that on Wednesday we couldn't receive the class, so we need to check which day do you think is better to receive it, if it's on Tuesday or Thursday. But if you want, let's talk about that at the end of the class. Okay, Raymond. Okay, no worries, no worries. The good thing is that with the recording, we can see from the beginning of the session. Okay, so let's get started. The agenda for today. We are going to learn something about Cypress Run. Then we're going to see video recordings and a screenshot, how we can use them to register different parts of our tests. Custom node scripts, how we can configure Node to run custom scripts and let's say summarize some of the commands that can get bigger. Also custom commands on Cypress and UI elements and interaction. We're going to start interacting with the element in Cypress. Okay, so let's start with Cypress Run. Okay, so what is exactly Cypress Run? There are two ways that we can run Cypress test. We can use the Cypress UI, that is the common one that we have been using, the npx Cypress open. With that, we open the UI and we can select which test we want to run and see in live stream, let's say, in live what is happening with the test, and we can debug it. We can say that this way of using the UI is a very useful way when we are building our tests, because we have access to the console, we have access to the different snapshots that were taken during the test execution, and so it's really useful when we are writing our test for the first time, and also debugging. We have already created the test now, because we don't need or we don't want to execute this when we are running the tests in a CI, because we want the test to execute, because when we are working with the CI, we know that probably we just need to check that everything is working as expected. We don't need to debug, or we don't need to create tests. We just need to check that everything is working as well, how it has supposed to work. Okay, so what we can use for that occasions, well, for that occasion we can use Cypress Run. Okay, so a quick example. If you go to the project that we've been working on, and you're on npx Cypress Run, you are going to see the following output. Okay, I think I did. Sorry, give me a sec. Sorry. No, here. Yes, I had another configuration. I was trying to see this. So just need to pick something from here. Okay, so Okay. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I was configuring, well, using my local environment instead of the, the page that we were using. Okay, so if you see, now it's running all the tests that I have on my local test folder. Okay, so if we see here, I just have assertion example, data assert example, and locator example. With that, we can see that it started running the assertion suite. That was the assertion example that we have here. We can see the tests that passed, sorry, the number of tests, the one that passed, the one that fails, pending skip screenshots, the video. This is a spoiler for the next slide, the duration, and what file was run. Okay. Spoilers for the next screenshot. Um, okay. Yeah, this was just a test that I was doing, but you can see how it shows when it fails. Okay, so we have locator test, a session, timeout, I'll try it after 4,000 milliseconds. Okay, so this is the summary of how the test run using npx Cypress run. Okay, so what are the benefits again? We can run this on the CI, and we can run this, let's say, when we are before doing a deploy. In my use case, I've used the integration test to be executed before merging a PR into the code base. We can make sure or everything is working correctly. You can even run it, let's say, with a custom pipeline every midnight at 12 or yeah, every midnight, and just to make sure that your product is working as expected. Then we're going to see how we can integrate emails, how we can integrate different things to let people know what is happening. Okay, so this way of running the test is really useful when we are automating things. Okay, so the npx Cypress run will be your friend during that situations. Okay, so let's see the basics of the Cypress run. Okay, the basic form is the npx Cypress run, the one that we just run. With this, we can run all the tests inside our integration folder. Okay, but we also can run a specific test. How we can do that? We only need to pass the spec flag, and then we just need to pass the path to the file. For example, let me run the one that is let's say locators. No, assertion. Okay. If I run npx Cypress run / spec, and we pass the file that we want to run, we're going to see something. Okay. We're going to get back into this one. Okay. So it worked. It run the assertion that we had here, and well, again, information that we just saw on the test. Now, it's important you to understand something. The default browser that is used when we run npx Cypress run is Electron. Okay. Why we can configure which browser do we want to use. This is the default because Cypress don't want to be restricted first if you don't have Chrome, Firefox, or browser that are supported by Cypress. So the first time is run inside an Electron app. Now, what is exactly an Electron app? Will be like emulator of a browser where everything will be run inside. Okay? So you don't need to worry, because if it run on Electron, it can run on Chrome and it can run on Firefox. Okay. But yeah, sometimes we need to run in the Chrome or Firefox just to make sure that we have the compatibility of our app in different browsers. So keep in mind this. By default, we'll be running on the electron. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is pretty simple. Also, we can use wildcards to match the path that we want to run. Let's say that we have a folder. In that folder, we want to run some tests. So let's say, okay, I'm going to create folder assertion, let's say, assertion, and I'm going to move my example here because I'm giving a structure to my directory, and I just want to run right now the assertions. Okay, so how we can do that? We only need to differentiate the name of the file. A wildcard to indicate that we want all the files, but that ends with JS. Okay, if I run this again, we're going to see that we are wanting to run the same exact file. Okay, you see, assertions, assertion example. If for some reason I add another file, let's say but assertions spec.js, we're going to break right now, but you're going to see how it works. Okay. In the bother session step. I'm interested to see what is this for me. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, share friend to pass a glove pattern state using quotes. Okay, so the best practices is with the quotes. No? Spec. Interesting. Not really sure what is telling me about that. Okay, okay, we can ignore it for the moment. Going to get back into that. Okay, but the important thing right now is that we can run tests inside folders. Okay? So the magic here is only using wildcard. We are using by folder, or by file, we are using a specific file. Okay. Now, as I was telling you, the test run by default using Electron, but sometimes we want to use another browser. So for that case, we only need to pass the flag -b. Okay, fine. Okay. With that, we're going to see that when everything is being set, is the browser that is used is Firefox. Probably the version that you have installed there. And again, the test will be running. Okay. And okay, everything is working here. So remember the dashboard Firefox or whatever you can use here Chrome. I'm not really sure if I have Chrome installed, but let's try. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, working with Chrome. Okay, so remember dashboard with a browser. Now, this is a way of running the headless, sorry, when trying these two examples, we are running our test in headless mode, okay? We are running without showing something to the user. But sometimes we want we want to debug it, or we want to see what is happening. Let's say we like really to work with the console, or we want just to make sure what is happening here. So we can append the flag header. With the flag header, we're telling, okay, in this run, we are going to run using the UI. So if you see here, it was open, and now it was closed and open again. So what's happening here is running the test in execution. Sorry, is running one test behind another, and we can use the UI to see what is happening there. Now, if you see, it's closing the UI. This is just for debugging purposes, again, just to see what is happening there. And there is an option that we can configure in the config.json that is to keep the browser open. And we can do that. Let open the browser and see what is happening there. Okay. But here the important thing right now is the headed flag that we can use to open the UI. Okay, so the command is pretty simple. Is the things that we have been doing, but now using the CI. Remember, benefits, we can use this to run on the CI environment or in places where we don't have a UI interface, let's say in a server, the agent that we run, or a remote Ubuntu server, let's say. Okay, so any question with Cypress run to this point? No? Okay, so let's move with video recording. This is a pretty useful and powerful feature of Cypress. We can record what is happening during the test execution. By default, when we run a test in LS mode, the way that we were doing it, a video recording is saved in videos file folder. Okay, so we can configure that on Cypress.json. Now, you're going to see here in session, session 5. This is only where I have my project. Okay. So we can see here, let's say assertions example. This is the video. Okay, and it finished there because the session was pretty straightforward. We're going to test something. Let me test with something that is more visual. So we're going to use the locators. So let's say now I just want to run locators example. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. There is something I think with my current configuration. We're using promo file for above. This is not common. I've used other browsers and the video is generated correctly. I'm not really sure. I think it's with my current configuration. So right now I'm going to get back to Electron just to show you the video. Okay. So everything passed there. And if we go to the videos, we can see how everything is being executed there. You see the visit here. And how everything was fine on the page. Okay. Again, useful one to debug what happened during the CI execution, and also to check, let's say, to have a register of what happened during the last execution. Later, we are going to see how we can generate reports where we can consolidate all this information and to keep a track of what we are, what was the output of the execution of our test. So we can generate reports with these videos, and that is something that is really powerful. Okay. So we can configure the behavior of our videos in Cypress configuration. The first property will be video. We can turn it on and turn it off, a basic flag. And also where we want to store our videos. Okay. Useful if you have let's say a folder that is synchronized with a external server, just to have backups of everything if you want. Okay, really interesting. I haven't changed the path, but always there is a use case. So let's try it. From here, I'm going to say okay, videos folder, and I will say okay. Remember, we always start from the Cypress, well, from the root of the configuration, and we move inside the different folders. So I'm going to say, okay, Cypress, and inside of Cypress, I want to say my custom path. Okay. So if I go and run it again, let's see. See that my custom path was generated here, and the folder is okay, and there is the video. So I just need to finish. The videos are pretty is light. They are not like it takes a lot of space. Well, a lot of videos can take a lot of space, but the way it's built, the video is built is just try to be optimized. So you don't have to worry about having size issues. From experience, I haven't like run into being generating 1 GB of videos, but you know, always all the tests, having a lot of tests can lead to that. Okay, so the configuration is pretty simple. The video recording. Right now, we just need to keep in mind that we can generate videos from test execution. Important things is how we are going to use it, but that will be later. Screenshots. Like we can generate videos, we can also generate screenshots of what happened during the test. We can do it manually, or we can stick to the default behavior. So we have the screenshot. Cypress will take screenshots every time a test fails in Cypress run. So for example, let's make this one, two, and let me, yeah, everything is run on Cypress, the Cypress run. So if I try running this, okay. So it failed because it couldn't find the element. And if we move to screenshots, we are going to see the test that we were running. That is locator example spec.js, and this is the screenshot of what failed. And you can see here is going to take the screenshot of what not found. So name search query was not there. Okay, these can be used again for your reports, or let's say that you want to automate and set Slack bot or send an email, the test that failed with a screenshot of the failure, we can do that. Right? Again, automatization will be seen later in the sessions, but this is something just we can take that information from the test being executed and share it with people that we need to share. Okay, and also we can take manual screenshots. Remember, the default behavior is when it fails during npx Cypress run. But also we can take a screenshot of what is happening in the test. So let's say, for example, that I want to here, just want to take an example before we do the assertion by classes, because I want to capture the test in certain state and probably then compare it with the output, or I just want to make sure that something is not shown before we do the following assert. So we only need to tell Cypress site.screenshot. Okay, and Cypress will be doing some magic behind that. So let's run it again. Now, because I fixed the test, it's not going to generate a screenshot for the failure. Instead, it's going to generate this because it's manual. But we can also let the Cypress fail. We are going to end with two screenshots, one for the failure and one with the manual screenshot. Okay, let's generate here. And you can see here the screenshot that was taken. Okay, if you see, the screenshot was for the whole page. But there are times that we don't need to take it to the whole page because we are focusing, let's say, to test these, let's say the inputs, and we want to take a screenshot of the input. How we can focus the screenshot to that? So let's try it right now. I'm going to use the ID here. Copy this. And we can have a theme, sorry, we can do this. Let me run it and show you what is happening here. Let's run it. It's going to start right now. Okay. And if you can see, we take the screenshot of the input that we were working. This is important and really and pretty useful. I've used this for, let's say, dialogues, and also there are plugins that let us do UI comparisons of our UI. Let's say that you want to focus on the style, how the element is presented, but you don't want to take a screenshot of the dumbest thing. You don't want to generate an object and compare it. You want to see visually how is the image being the element being generated, and compare it to the state that you want it to be. In that case, we can use the UI plugins to test that in the session. Sorry, I'm giving a lot of spoilers, but yeah, we are going to see that. So you don't have that question. Let's say that, well, to know that we are going to see that topics later. Okay, but the important thing here is that we are taking the screenshot of the input that we want to work. Let's say that we want to select the cars that you just saw, just to make sure that the structure of the car is correctly. Okay. So everything with the screenshot can be worked like that. The default is selecting the document that we are testing, and from there taking the screenshot. So what is the formula here? Is that we need to get the element, by the selectors, ID, classes, whatever you think, and append the screenshot. We are going to see this is a child command. We are going to see that later in the session about parents and child commands. Just to understand why is that we can do that. Okay, but let's say I want not to generate something with this name, the parenthesis should test the element exists. I just want to say input search. Okay. If I pass a command, a name or a string to the screenshot command, it's going to generate a screenshot with a custom name. So this is just running right now. You see, searching. Okay. The naming can be used for the structure, or because you don't like the way the name of Cypress work. You can you can set a custom name in there. Okay. So questions with the screenshots to this point? Yeah, videos, screenshots. Okay. Now let's move to custom scripts on package JSON. Node.js have a really powerful feature that is the setup of scripts. Here you can see if you open your package.json, you're going to see that you already have a script configured there. That is the test. If you try running npm run test, you're going to see this message on the console. Error not specified because it was configured here. You can set whatever command you need in this file. From the development side, let's say that you're working with frameworks that exposes Node CLI features. You can use that. Let's say there is a cool tool called Byte. So you can run something like Byte dev because it's going to run the local server. The cool thing with the Node scripts is that you can reference to executables libraries without using the npx like the way that we were doing. We don't need to set npx Cypress run. We can do it, but we can reference locally the package that was installed. So in this case, like the way to run it outside Node scripts will be something like npx byte that, okay? But inside package JSON, the way it works is that we just reference to the package that we want to use and the command that we want. So we are going to say Cypress to run. Okay. Yes, run. If I go here, npm run Cypress run, we're going to see the magic kind. Okay, you see it's working the way it was supposed to be. Okay. And okay, that's our frame, but that's okay. Important thing is this. Okay, we can set the execution for test using the scripts. Again, you can set whatever you need. Unit testing. You can set it to build your application. You can set it to start the web development server, to build for production. A lot of things you need to set here. There, the way you write this is like you were writing something in Bash. You can reference things like, well, when you use Bash, variables, the conditionals, the loops, if you want. You want to reference a environment. Let's say that you are setting something like the base URL because your custom test environment, you can reference variables that are stored on your session. Is something like this. Let's say that you want to set let's say an echo before displaying something. Okay, so the way you write the command is using Bash syntax. So that is another topic, but it's important you to know it. And what we can really run from our Node CLI tools, the things that we can run it from the console, we can run it from here. The idea is that we can summarize our command and do the same things without worrying to remember all the parameters that we configure. For example, if I want to run the locator because I don't know, it's really hard me to log in into the console, sorry, into the terminal and try searching for the command that I just run last night, let's say. instead of remembering what was the command or what was the structure, or because you were testing a parameter and it worked correctly, now you need to remember that every day. The way to do it is that we can run using this. So let's say Cypress run. Okay. This is just a naming convention. You can use camel case to do the um, to give it the structure to the name. I prefer the columns here, but you can use whatever you want. It's just a simple name that you want to use it there. So let's run npm run Cypress run locators, and we see that it's running Cypress run spec and the locators here. And it's going to work. Now, something that is pretty cool also with the scripts is that we can pass flags to reuse the same base command. Let's put an example of we want to run Firefox or we want to run Chrome instead of Electron, because it's the way that it's running right now. We can run the previous command npm run, the name of the script, and we need to append 2 dashes, a space, and then we can pass the flag or whatever configuration we need. Remember, these flags or extra flags are related to the command that you run when you run your scripts. Okay. So if you run this, you're going to see that we are running, well, this is the way the command was generated with a flag bcrom, and we're using the browser here, the Chrome browser. This is pretty useful because in the example like this one, when you create scripts for a specific test cases, because the naming is hard, because the path is really long, because you only wanted to automate that part. This way of passing the flags is powerful, and you can override the default behavior using that, and in your CI or your server, you only need to focus on the things that you want to add. So let's say that you are using Lego blocks and you are putting something on the top. Okay. Pretty useful. Remember, the syntax would be dash 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 p, and well, in this case it is the extra command, but this dash dash and the extra parameter that we want to use. If we run npx we're going to see all the flags that we can set with Cypress run. If we want to reference another config file from here, sorry, if we want to set the configs inline, or if we want to set another config file, the list of environments, the headless, the one that we will use testing, the port that we want to use. Okay, so these are the things that that you can set to override custom configuration or custom behavior on the Cypress execution. Oh, this is the way that we were doing a script test folder. Again, I was telling you, this is a naming convention. I prefer the columns, but you can set the name whatever you think is okay. Remember, always try to have a standard with your team, because if you're working with a team, it's better to everyone to be in the same page and not only you, because that can be, the dilemma of working with teams. You always need to be on the same page if you want to work good. Appending parameters, the way that we were doing it, is dash dash, and the parameters that we want to set. Okay. Any question with the way we can automate the scripts using the Node.js scripts? Yeah. Okay. Please, if you feel lost, if you think I'm going fast, you want to ask something, there is the chat, there is me, you can open your mic and ask me a question. So let's continue with custom commands. Another really powerful thing that Cypress can do. We can write custom commands. It can be created for use case in our test project. We want to automate, let's say, the creation of the user. We can use Cypress commands to do that. And instead of writing every time the login process, because you need to send a number, you need to send the email, the password, all type of things, you can create a command that does that for you. And instead of remembering or copy pasting everything on every test, you can use this command to execute it. Well, write it simple, but execute the same things every time. The recommended tip from Cypress is that you need to create this in the command.js file. If you go to the structure of the Cypress, the folder, you're going to see there is something called support. In support, you're going to see there is this file called command.js. Here is where it is recommended to write your commands. Now, it's recommended because this is like the default one. If you have thousands of commands that you want to modularize and have different versions or not versions, different structure because you want to keep it organized, you can always import it here or you can import it here. So it can be like loaded. This file is important because this is loaded before running the tests. So that's the reason why it's recommended to load it here. If not, it's going to break because the command that you were trying to execute, it was not registered on time, don't exist, blah, blah, blah. Everything is imported from the index.js in the support, and the command here is where we are going to put the magic. You can see there are some examples here already, the login, track, dismiss, and the thing that we can do it. We're going to understand first the difference between parent and child. Okay, before going or jumping into the example, we need to understand that there are 4 types of writing commands, but there are 2 base types. One is when you are writing a parent command, that means that it don't depend on something or to reference something that is called the subject before to actually work. And the child command, that is like the screenshot that we just used, that it depends on the subject or not. Say that if you see the screenshot command is something that is also called the dual because it can work as both. If we run Cypress screenshot at the top of the file, is going to work like it's taking the screenshot of all the document. But when we run it like as a child command, after we reference the element, it took the screenshot of the element that we referenced. Okay, so there are the 3. One is the combination of both, that is the dual type, but and the other ones are the basics, that are the parent and the child command. We're going to do some examples so you can to see that. And the other one that is a special case is when we want to override a behavior, like the one that we are seeing here. Cypress command override, visit, and the things that we are working here. Now, something that is important is the parameters. If you see, we have something that is called original function as the first parameter, and then is going to have the same configuration like this one, let's say. The parameter that we are working with and the options, because we can override the command during execution. Now, why do you want to override an existing command? In my experience, I haven't done it, but again, use case exists, so probably you need to do it. Let's say that every time you visit something in the QA exam in the QA environment, you need to prepend something to the URL because you are testing with something, or you need to log something to your server because you're keeping track of how the tests are working. Okay, so you can override these commands, and you can call this original function at the end of the things that you did, and it's going to execute. Now, you can also don't execute the original function and leave it like, okay, this visit is going to do another thing now. Okay, it's not the recommended thing because you don't want to be like messing with the things that Cypress already exposed. Instead, you probably only need to augment the functionality of the things that work. Yeah, so you can do that with the thing that we put with the override of commands. So for example, let's write our first command. The way that we do it is Cypress command add, and we are going to do so. Cypress commands add, and I'm going to say, okay, send something to console. And the structure is going to receive this function, this callback, that will be the one that will be executed when we call this command. Right now we are writing a parent command. We're going to say site.log. Again, I think this is because it's not coming. Let's see. Oh, yeah, say.log. I'm going to say hello from the console side. Let's run it. So I'm going to open my here's example. And from here, I'm going to say, okay, you know, before the test start, I want to say something to the console. So I will say send something to console. Let's run it. npx site. So let me run the command that we are, okay, let's see what we're using here. Run our automated script now, npm run. Cypress run clears. I'm not really sure if we're going to see if it's displayed correctly because we are using right now the run, and the logs I think is not written on the console, but let's see. Yeah, it didn't work here. Okay, so perfect. I think we can't write something inside log using npm run because we don't really care when we are running in the UI. Sorry, in an automated environment. So it makes sense that the Cypress log is not printed there. The way we are going to see it is just in npx Cypress open. Okay. Hello from the console side. Now the basic structure is the command name as the first parameter. Cypress command adds. This is important. If you saw there was an import with Cypress, something is going to break your test. So always reference this Cypress global variable because it's injected, and well, it makes reference. Well, it makes reference to the original Cypress object. So say something to console, and well, we can write whatever things we have here. So let's say that here I want to take a screenshot of the things before, I don't know, before everything starts. You see here we have now the other screenshots of the other test run and the screenshot that we just took, that is this one. Okay. So this is the basic way you can write a parent command. Now, there are cases where, like this one, where you want to take a screenshot of something that already exists, or because you're going to receive a subject, it's called, and you want to do that with that. So just before moving into that, in the cases where we want to send a parameter, the way it works, the following: press command that add, we're going to say login. And this command is going to receive username, password. For the moment, it will be a log, but you know, in here, probably we just need to do a request. We are going to set everything we need to set. So here we say for security, showing the password and the console. We need to show this to the public. Okay, I that login, and I will say username will be username, password will be 1234. If this is going to be executed right now, you see, login with leave and 1234. So you can receive the parameters this way. Remember, you have to be on the callback of the function that you want to execute. And what we can do is also, besides like connecting to external things, we can also automate repetitive things, repetitive actions, sorry. For this, I just want to make a pause and like trying to explain you what type of repetitive things. Let's say that you have a page that have 3 buttons. One is for login. Second, let me copy this and we're going to, let's say that we have the page, okay? Okay, let's put the example first. We have a page that will have 3 buttons, one for login, one to sign out, another one to reset password, okay? When we refer to automate, or in this case, execute repetitive actions, we don't refer like this one. Let's say that we are going to say, click on login, and we are going to write here site that get login button dot click. Okay. If we go with this logic, that means that probably we are going to create later something that says click on logout, and here will be log out, and the other one will be click on reset password. And we don't okay. We don't mean this type of repetitive things. We don't mean the repetitive task, the repetitive action of referring different button and click, okay? the way that we refer when we say repetitive task or repetitive action is the action of clicking a button is something that will be repetitive. So the command should wrap this repetitive action and should help you doing this thing that you do over and over and over and over, but in a generic way. So the correct thing to do here is create a command. You know, this is something that is really redundant because click already do that for you, but for purpose and for science, we're doing right now like this. So here the action will be something click on button. And what is going to receive as the parameter, the ID of the button. So instead of doing this, you do this, and you do this. Now you have a way of doing the repetitive action for all the buttons, but you already wrapped inside a custom command. Okay? So it's important you to have like that difference in your mind because it's easy to do that. Because in my experience, it happened to me at the first, and I was like, okay, I want to automate this process. And I know that I click on this, I click on that, and I open this dialog, and this is what happens. I want to do that. Well, instead of doing every test, I want to do it automatically. So I was thinking, okay, probably doing a custom command can work, but then I was like, okay, but if I do that, that means that I'm going to create one for this case, one for other case, one for other case. You're going to end with 1,000 lines of code of custom commands that don't really do the correct way of working with repetitive actions. There are patterns that help us with that. Probably if you have experience with automating process, you heard about the page object pattern. We are going to see that later, but with that pattern, we can help us doing that repetitive type of actions. But with Cypress custom commands, the thing that we want to do is remove this same process or same actions that can be parameterized, and we can do it like efficiently during the writing of our test. So when we go here and say side that click on button, you know that we just need here to send the ID of the button, okay? And then if you, for some reason, the application had the fourth button, you already have something that we're going to handle that, okay? At least that is something that I want you to keep in mind. It's important to do that type of separation of things here and understand what is the purpose of commands, and with that pattern that we're going to see in other sessions, you are going to see how it's going to work. Okay? But it's important you to make that distinction between the commands. Okay, I think we're in time. Okay, I'm going to speed up a little bit. Now, the child commands. What happened with the child commands is that we can chain it to something that is already existing. Let's say that we are going to receive, I don't know, let's say I'm checking the dialog element and we just want to check something from there and log something and print it to the database. I don't know, use cases. The way we can do that is that we are going to add again a new command, but we are going to pass the option prep subject equals to true, meaning that we are going to receive a subject and we are going to work with that subject. So we're going to create that child command right now. Cypress that commands that add a log subject. So the configuration or the option will be before or logic or function. And here we're going to set the object that says the prep subject equals true. Okay. Here we have the logic now. Subject is the first parameter now that we're going to receive. And from here we can say site.log printing this full subject. And we're going to print the subject. Okay. If I go, sorry, it's going to work. Remember, Cypress will refresh your test file. Oh, sorry, I didn't use it. Okay, so I'm going to remove this screenshot right now, and I will say, okay, I want that input, and I want to log subject. And see what happened here. We're going to see here printing this full subject. Okay, so the way we did it was appending this. If we use this at top level, say site.log subject, we're going to see that it's going to fail because it's expecting the a subject before doing that. If you don't need the subject, remember you need to write then a parent command. Okay. Oops, later you're trying to call child command before running a parent command. Okay. And with the dual command, the thing that you need to set is this prep subject optional. And well, it's going to work the same way. And then probably you're going to have the logic if subject is equal to null, or if subject is falsy, then I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to do that. Okay. I'm going to jump that because probably with the parents and the child is the thing that I choose the most. But it's important you to know that there is the dual. And well, to override, I haven't used it, but if you want to go in depth with that, the Cypress documentation is pretty strong about this. So you can check it. Okay. So, but we're going to jump for the other thing that matters right now. This is the next topic. Before jumping, do you have any questions regarding Cypress custom commands? No? Okay, so let's move to the last topic of today, the UI elements and interactions. Today we're going to see two types of interaction. These are specifically to the inputs element, the type and the clear. With the type, we worked on a practice that we did last week. Remember, the type input is the one that helps us writing input, writing something to the input. And we're going to know its brother that is clear. With clear, we can remove what we write on the input. Oh, let's do this example. I'm going to create a test that we will call a search sample.expect.js. Describe search tests. It should input something to this search. So we're going to start referencing the input. We're going to use the ID here. Okay. And we are going to put something. We are going to search for genes itself. We're going to stop this and search example. So the page will be loaded. Okay, we type genes, and if you see on the top, we write genes on the input. Okay. Now there are cases where you do this, and for some reason you're going to write pants because it's the next part of the test. What happened at the point? You see, the text was appended. Why? Because literally we are telling Cypress, hey Cypress, please write this word in the input and now write this in the input. It's like if we were being the user, we write jeans and we don't trigger the action of removing what was on the input, and we are going to append paths. So that's why both of the words were written here. How we can work with that, or what we can do to avoid that type of things, we're going to run here something that is called clear. Okay, this is the command that is going to remove the input from the search button, sorry, the search input. Okay, if you see jeans was okay, jeans was written there, then was cleared, and then pants was written. Now we can change this and change this before doing the actual type of pants. Okay. And well, we can do the same with jeans. And here is where you're going to start seeing what repetitive action you're doing. And you're going, okay, I do this a lot. So it will be nice to have something that is called clear and input, input and clear or something like that. And you're going to start adding that type of functionality. Again, remember, is to abstract something that you do a lot, but in a generic way, not something that you do in different cases, and well, only having all a custom command for the different cases. Okay, one for this use case that you want to automate. Well, in this case, to take refactor, because we're trying to be less repetitive, something that you are writing. Okay, so this is clear and type. Now is basic. Well, it's not basic, it's simple. Now type has something that is really cool, and is the way that we can make it interact with the input. Because we are simulating or we are testing an autocomplete feature. Let's say in that case, we want to see that when we write AB, is going to show you something, but when we try to write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, we want it to show something else. Okay. But in that cases, or let's say that we found a bug that when in this same component, when we write A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and start removing characters, the output is not updated. The thing that we are trying to do there is simulate the backspace, and how we can do that is these special characters that Cypress exposes to us using that command. So let's play with this a little bit. Let's say that we have jeans here, but for some reason, I just want to check what is G. Okay. But I'm going to make it like visual backspace. It's important to put that word. I'm going to show you right now what are the words that we can use. But for the moment, I'm going to copy paste that here. So the important thing is, or the basic structure is, we need to surround the word by brackets, and the keyword has to be inside brackets. Let's see what did the test. Let's see. You see, G is the one that is shown there. Why? Because we are using backspace. Now, if we wanted to give it the enter, like we do normally as a user, we can use the enter word here, and And this finished loading. Okay, it's loading right now because it gave the enter because the form was submitted, and if you see, a new page was loaded here. Okay, this is a cool way of doing like as well we actually do, right? When we are writing on Google and we type something and press enter, this is the way that we can do it with Cypress. Now let me show you the commands that we can so let's say Cypress type. These are the sequence that we can use. Have backspace, delete, move the cursor down, and enter, escape, left arrow, insert, home, escape, home, insert, left arrow, move to end, move to start, page down, page up, right arrow, select up, and up arrow. Sorry about this noise. Okay, Alt, Control, Meta, Shift. Okay, we can use this for the things that you are doing. If you're dragging something and you're automating the drag of that, you know, you can use it. You can use these ones as we just do it here. Okay? Remember, brackets inside the keyword, and it's going to do the action that we are working on with. Okay, asserting. Okay, question before moving on of how we can get information from the inputs. I know that it's pretty simple, but the practice of today, you're going to have fun with that. Okay, let's move with assertion input values. There are cases where we want to assert, let's say something that we write, or the input, when you write something, is going to parse the information. Let's say you enter a credit card, and when you you're writing the number of the credit card, you want to assert that these actually have spaces between every 4 blocks of numbers, or that when you are writing or entering a phone number, you want it to have the correct country code because you're having everything in the same input. We can get the actual value of the input and assert over that. How we can do that? We can use invoke, and there is an easy way that is using change query. The change query is another assertion library that we can use with Cypress. Remember the one that we had with Child, that was the BDD and the TDD styles. The change query is a way of assertions, but is, let's say, prepared for UI elements. In this case, when we're referencing something like a search input, okay? But right now, we are going to see examples. With invoke, what happened with invoke? Invoke expects a jQuery element. Cypress is really powerful and exposed, and jQuery had a really powerful interface also. So with Cypress, we can reference the element, and that is, we can use invoke to access information from that element. Let's see it in action. I'm going to just move this. I'm going to again get the search query top input, and I'm going to say, okay, you know, I want to get the value of the actual input. So first, I'm going to type something. Say, I want to say, okay, I want to access the attributes. This is something specifically in Invoca, how we can expect that. I'm going to share with you the documentation. For the moment, just believe me that we can do it using the attribute, okay? We pass let's say, the property that we want to trigger, in this case is attribute, and I will say, I want to get value. Okay. And from that, we have now a chainable object. And the thing that we can change then is the assertion. So I will say, okay, should, and in this case, I'm using the equal. I will say this should be equal to hello world. Let's run this and let's see how it behaves. See, expected hello world to equal hello world. And what happened here is that we got the attribute value from the element and we asserted over that. There are cool things that we can do. From practice, I want to like, we keep experimenting with this, but we can also, let's say, assert over the style that the element is having. We have an input that is going to change color when we type hello world because it's a bad word, and the background should be now red. We can assert over the style that of that properties or the class or whatever thing. This way that we access the value is like the way that we do normally when we do a document get element by ID, and then we have the DOM element exposed to us and we can get the properties from it. So the invoke, and here you can see even if I write something, let's see here, as we had before, bind word change. There is something that is called val. I don't remember. We can focus it. Well, we have a lot of keys here, but the thing here is that uses this uses the jQuery API to reference this type of information, and in this case, well, we are referencing attributes. Okay, we are going to experiment that with that more in depth when we try to see invoke more what we can do with invoke and all of that. So for the moment, limit that it work, but I'm going to share the documentation so you can check from there. Now, invoke is recommended to be used when we want to invoke something. The element have a function that we want to trigger every time we are, let's say in this case, we want to trigger the function that it says filter something. Okay, invoke, or the main idea behind invoke, is that we are going to use it to do that type of invocation. What Cypress tell us about that is that when we are trying to assert specific information, the value of an attribute in this case, use jQuery, because it's something that will help you with that and it will be easy to understand what is happening there. So how is the alternative we can use it? Side.get, the thing that we are using. And we are going to jump directly to the should have that attribute. Remember here we are using the TDD syntax, and this is going to receive as the second parameter the value that is the one that we have here, and the word that we want to assert. So in this case, I forgot. To apply good practices and to this and then this. Let's run this. Okay. I didn't type it. Let's see. But, repeat that. because of the chain. Let's see. Behavior. What is happening here? Have attributes, value, or should, side that get, this expected, to value with the value, however the value was, but I see how here. What is happening here? Yeah, value, same using here. Where is the one that is there? Should have attributes. Huh. Interesting. Okay. We're going to do the following during the practice, because in today's a long practice. I'm going to check the what is happening here. It shouldn't be like that. It's weird. I don't know what happened here, but okay. I'm going to get you with the answer right now after the class, so we can know what happened here. Show you what is the main reason behind this. Before moving on, because right now we have we have these above labels, and we're going to do the practice. So let me continue, and after the class, I'm going to show you what was the reason. Okay, or interesting. Didn't know about that. Let's see. Okay, so let me move fast right now with the following. I'm going to admit to do here. I'm going to get you with the answer to this. Okay, quick assertion. Let's say that we are trying to assert information like a label, because the label is updated, because the label shows something that needs to be different, because the label, the label. Let's switch to the tab. Okay, so for example, this one, okay? I'm going to see the one for email address. I'm going to use the same test. And I'm going to say, okay, I'll say controller authentication. This is the route I'm using. So I'm going to do the following. Okay. If I try searching for the input, it will be difficult because you don't have an ID, you don't have a class, you don't have a lot of things that will help us, like referencing the value fast. What we can do, let's use the UI and work with that. I'm going to say nth child. This is a CSS selector to select the child number, the number that we're passing as the parameter, and we're going to reference the label. We're going to get that. We are referencing that value, and we are going to use the same shoe that we just test. Hope it worked now. Okay, so should have, in this case, the text, because we are referencing to the inner text of the element. Again, the jQuery API, I'm going to show you, and we want just to check that we have this value, email address here. Okay, expect the label to have text email address. So the way this should work is the same that we were using with invoke. The difference here is that we are like having or passing the property that we want to assert first, then the value if it's needed, like this one that is not working, and the value itself. Okay? So the chai jQuery assert is really powerful when we are working with that type of things. And the way we do it is like this. We get the element, we do the should, the property that we are asserting, and the value. Okay. This was pretty simple, and we can continue with the practice. But before moving on, Do we have any question? No? Okay, so it's time to you for have no, for you to have fun. Let's do the practice today. The practice of today is that we are need to make a test suite with the following cases. Makes a search of dresses in the page that we were just testing here. If we go to and if I search for dresses and click on enter, it's going to show me these 7 dresses that you see here. Okay, so the idea is that you need to confirm that the page returned 7 dresses when we did that search. Remember, try searching for element, a wrapper element, whatever thing you need. And the second case will be subscribe to the newsletter and validate that you are registered correctly. Okay, this is the first one. Remember, find for addresses and confirm that the addresses, the number of addresses that are shown here are set. That is the first use case. And the second one is if you go to this section, you can subscribe to the newsletter. So I will say I'll use this email. If I click enter here, it's going to find. It's going to say, okay, you have successfully subscribed to this newsletter. But if I try subscribing again with the same email, is going to fail. Okay, this is the register. So the first part is that you need to validate that you register correct. You input the email and you were successfully registered, and then there will be a bonus. We're going to talk about that. Okay, these are the 2 cases. Question with the two cases that we need to test. Yeah. Okay. What are the constraints for these tests? We need to use the UI as a tool to create the creation of these test cases. We don't need to click on the search and subscribe button. We don't need to find in the bottom that says here this one. We don't want you to click on this one. I want you to try to use it like the things that we've seen in the class today. We are going to create a Node.js script to run this test that we are writing today. We're going to run the headless mode with Firefox and Chrome, and create a custom command to take a screenshot of every page you visit and print a side log to indicate that the screenshot was taken correctly. This custom command should receive the screenshot name. Okay, we are going to create a custom command to do this. And the bonus challenge, because we only can use a unique email when we are subscribing to the newsletter, we need to find a way to create different emails before we subscribe, so we don't have the issue that we just see. That is, you already use that email. Okay, the email is already registered. Question with the challenge, with the constraints, with all of that. Okay, probably this will be, I think this challenge is large. Well, this practice is larger than the other one that we have already done before. So let's try to take these 30 minutes that we have. If we are not able to finish it, probably let's try to take it offline, and we are going to discuss it on the next class. Okay, if you don't have any question, please start. Let me take a screenshot of this so you can know what is the thing that we are doing. Okay. I'm going to show you here. The first one, the second one. And I'm going to send it on the chat if you are going to work on this on today in the afternoon to have it in the class. Or, well, if you were able to finish today, nice. See. Okay, now I can share you. How I can share you? Oh, right. I'm going to send it via email if you want. Let's see. Okay, so these are the. Okay. Okay. While you do that, I'm going to see what was the issue with the assertion we were just doing. So please go ahead. I'll be here if you have any questions. And good luck. Good luck with this one. Okay, Tim. How's how's your experience with the practice? Were you able to do it? Are you working on it? You're almost finishing. All right, today's a little long, but mm, okay. If you're having the 404 issue, probably there are two things that you need to check. First, check your base URL if you already configured the the one this base URL. If you're using relatives, if you are using like the absolute path, check that you are referencing to the index.php because the URL that you need to be using is, I'm going to send the chat, is this. Oh, sorry, is the following. Okay. So check that. Probably the 404 is because you are referencing something in the path and is not this. So check that is URL and check from there. Okay. Um, okay, so let's do the following if you want, because I know that this practice is a little long, but it will be doesn't work with any URL. Okay, if we want, I don't know if you have time, so we can check it after the meeting, like 2 or 3 minutes, and let's see what's happened there. Okay, okay. So for the rest, if you were not able to finish it, try to finish it today, or well, when you have time. I know that everyone here is working on tennis, so let's check on that. Okay, before I forget, I was checking the issue that we were having with the selector. For some reason, the have attribute value is not working. It looks like it doesn't detect, or well, the value is not detecting correctly using this way. But we have the other way that is using directly the have value that references the same value in the input. So that is really weird because this one and this one are the same. So no, I don't really understand what is happening. I'm going to check today more like with call and see what is happening there. But this other thing that you see here, the have value, is another way of sorting the information of the value input. The have value that you see here is the same as this one. Not sure what is not working, but that is what happened there. Let me share with you if you want to experiment with that. This is the documentation with the assertions on, I'm sharing the screen, right? These are the documentation with assertions for the child jQuery. So you can play with it also. Okay, so next steps, remember, try to finish the exercise, try to see how it worked. On next class, I would like to pick, well, 1 2 people to see how it went the exercise, okay? Well, the second point is this one. If this is not working, let's try with have value. We are referencing the same value in the input and it works the same. And we can work after. So you can see here, we're going to see the output of that. Okay, and it works. It asserted that the hello world have the value hello world. Okay, and the last point, we have a pending session because I couldn't like give it to you on Wednesday. We were talking with the team that was on Friday that they prefer, well, the majority prefer Tuesday. So question to the people that is here today, do you prefer Tuesday or do you have preference for Thursday? You can write it Tuesday, okay? So Tuesday will be tomorrow. Well, that was fast. Okay. Okay, Raymond says tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so because the majority from last class was Tuesday, that is tomorrow. Let's try. Well, let's set the meeting for tomorrow. Okay, and tomorrow we are going to continue with. Okay, okay. Let me tell Yolanda then if she can upload the recording, the last recording. Okay. Thank you for let me know. Okay. Okay, okay. Let me ask her so she can upload the recording. Okay. So then we see us tomorrow at the same time. And let me know how was the exercise going, okay? Probably I want to have you answer why that didn't work. Okay, so we are done for today. Thank you for attending for on Monday's session, and we are going. We see. I see you tomorrow and on Wednesday to be in sync with other. Okay. So thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Fernando. Thanks,
Bye bye.
guys.